Hi folks, this is Danny at Bradley James Classic Cars, and today's classic is very special. This particular car has taken me a little bit of time to mark up for sale, purely because I've had her tucked away in my own little car collection because I'm a fan of the Austin A40. Now this particular car I think is going to be very difficult to repeat, purely of its complete originality and the fact that you probably have to see it to believe it, and listen to some of the statements that I've made in my notes to verify this remarkable mileage of 20,000 miles since new. Now it is a Mark II model, it's a Farina, and it is simply stunning, and I think they use the term time warp condition because it really is. If you look inside, which we will in a minute, you'll see that the dashboard, the tray that runs under the dashboard, the headlining, the seats, they all look virtually like new. And I think you'll probably see in this car very similar to what the first owner probably saw it. And even, I'm going to get up to the front here so I can do my one-handed lifting up of the bonnet trick, which is never easy because it's over on the right-hand side on these cars. I'm doing my best to see if I can do it. I put the phone down. Do you know, it really isn't that easy to do it with one hand, but I'm going to persevere and get there. That wasn't the easiest bonnet I've ever lifted with one hand. I don't think I'm going to get a job for the BBC. Anyway, back to this car. The engine bay, again, looking at that engine, looking at that carburetor, that heater box, the wiper motor. It's had a conversion to run an electric pump for the washers. It all looks as new under here. It's got a bigger battery than would have had. These cars run a steering box, and that one looks, well, it's only done 20,000 miles, that's why it looks so good. So that looks fabulous. It looks ready to just drive straight off to the car show and expect to do rather well because it is in beautiful condition. Even look at the quality of the condition of that grille. A 20,000 mile Austin A40, probably with its original number plates. And let me tell you a little about the model, and we'll get back talking about this car. So this is called Horizon Blue, and in fact the interior is also called Horizon Blue, and look how lovely that looks as well. And the door cards and the seats, and look how unused it all looks in here. And those who know this model know that that's really like a cover to hide what's in the boot. It's got a couple of extra dials which help out with just generally the battery condition in volts and the water temperature. Shows oil pressure, and there's one that says vacuum on the end there. There's that 20,000 miles, and you can see, I don't know how well the camera's picking it up, it just looks so fabulous. And look at the condition of even this here, it just is remarkable. And look at that headlining, and even small things like look how as new all this looks. It's remarkable. So we've had a little look inside as well. It's had a Farina club owner by the looks of things. So back to the Austin A40 as a model. It was first introduced in 1958. It was referred to as a Mark I. They did a saloon car, they did a Countryman, which was like a little estate. And you could arguably say that perhaps it was one of the most original hatchbacks, I suppose, those Countrymans, because of the way the back used to open up. Quite innovative, quite great innovation from the late 50s from a British company. Now it was developed by Austin at Longbridge, and with all Austin cars they have their code. This was ADO 8, and ADO is Austin Drawing Office, in this case number 8, and this car was developed. They brought out the Mark II. This is a Mark II from 1964, but in 1961 they brought out the Mark II, and the following year they started fitting the 1098cc engine as per the Morris Minor. so a rear-wheel drive car. A bigger stroke, therefore more power, and probably just a better all-round engine for a daily driver, which is going to be perhaps used on longer runs, a bit more puff to get up the hills, and generally just a little easier to live with, a 1098 rather than the small original 948 engines that the earlier cars had. Now, production ended in 1967 of these wonderful little cars, and they made 49,877 of the Mark II model, and I'm shocked to be telling you that this is one of just 17 cars that are left from 1964. So to think that a common sight of an Austin A40, there's only 17 from 1964 left, and 2/3 of those are actually unsawn. So there's probably only somewhere in the region of 5 or 6 of these cars that are left on the road, and that is remarkable from such a common sight. Now, it's a stunning example. I don't think you're going to be finding too many others as nice as this. There really isn't anything to do other than just drive and enjoy this car. I do have some notes from the previous owner, who, I've got to tell you, there was a heavy heart when this car was traded in for the other car he had from us, and we was very happy to have it. In fact, you're lucky as customers to be getting it, because I can assure you this was destined for my own small car collection, because I honestly don't think I'm going to be seeing a better example of a genuine low mileage Austin A40 as this one ever again. And there are some interesting notes which come with this car. Now, this particular one was always known as Herbert, I'm sorry. And so the notes read as Herbert came to be in 1964, and the car was actually sold by Cornelius Parish Garage in Hull, and remarkably there is a period photo from the very garage that this car was supplied from. The car covered 11,000 miles in the first year before it went to the second owner, and she only did 500 miles in the next 4 years, and the car was then stored between 1969 and 1997. There's a copy of the Practical Classic magazine which showed this car was involved in a North Yorkshire Grand Tour, but it still only had 11,400 miles on it in 1998. Since then, the car has only covered a further approximate 10,000 miles to get it up to the 20,000 miles that the previous owner had the car. So 20,000 miles, he came to own it, and now after 59 years, here she is with just a mere 20,000 miles on. There's some very interesting information where the previous owner has done his research on the car, and he's found out about the first service being done at 578 miles, and then the second being carried out in Manchester when it had 3,000 miles. This is back in 1964. And then the supplying garage back in 1965, it had done 10,000 miles. And so it would be a company car used for business purposes in its first period. It's wonderful that it has its original handbook that looks as good as new. It's also got its passport to service book, which not many of them retain. And covering the mileage it's done with the history that it's got both its original keys. It has all its original paperwork, including the handbook and the service book. The car is stunning in every way, and I'm going to walk around the car slowly so you can see just how good the paintwork and bodywork is. I cannot see a blemish anywhere. It's so beautiful. It's got a new set of matching modern radial tyres, 145 width, which is a nice size for these, slightly wider than the originals. A very practical boot with a covering, quite a large boot. folks, actually, more than just a bit of shopping in these. Obviously a two-door saloon design. Walking down the car, just the small matters of look how good it is down here, and that little plug hole is where the jack is, which is all present, and it's been subjected to some recommissioning, which is noted in the extensive file that comes with the car. I'd imagine after a long lumber back in the late 1990s, having been stored since the 60s, it probably would have had a bit of work to recommission the brakes. I'm just making some assumptions there, but they don't like to be sat around for too long. And the car is presented in this beautiful horizon blue. You can see there's a plate in the middle where a radio could be fitted, and it's never had one. And you can just see from looking at the dashboard just how good a condition this car is. I mean, the steering wheel, because it's only done the 20,000 miles, you just don't see them like this. It's just absolutely remarkable. There are seat belts fitted. They are static seat belts, of course, from that era, but there are some from this era that haven't got them, so that's a benefit for those who feel safer with a seat belt. And the car itself is available now. Now, we offer a part exchange service. You can trade in your existing classic, your modern car, or even a light commercial. We offer a full UK competitive transportation service that we just need your postcode to give you a quote, and we can have this car brought to you. All the cars go through our own extensive workshops. We have 4 ramps, and we have I think some of the best mechanics in the area. There's a lot of people that come from a long way away to bring their cars to us to look after for them, and we certainly treat the cars that we sell no differently from any customers' cars. They get the full works, so they are thoroughly tested, including road testing. This one has half a tank of fuel. I would suggest you run this car with a fuel stabilizer. There are various products on the market that help deal with modern fuel, but this car is quick through the gears. With 20,000 miles on it, it's got so much life in it, and it really just needs to be enjoyed by the next owner now. So folks, a 20,000 mile Austin A40 MK2. It's in pristine condition. I think it would probably stack up well at any car show, and it will be an absolute credit to its owner. Excellent chrome. Just how lovely it looks through the front there. This is, as I say, probably very similar to what it would have looked like when the first lucky owner picked it up all those years ago. This is nice that someone's found a period tax disc showing that it cost not a great deal of money. Is that 15 shillings for a road tax? I think it's gone up a bit now, but obviously it is both MOT exempt and tax exempt. Even these little areas here where they're known for getting a little bit gammy, let's say, where the water can hold in there, evidence of a car that's been garaged. They've got a good sized boot in them. The same down here, and a nice contrasting old English white roof that really gives the period feel, which goes very nicely with the way the wheels are painted. And she's in stock. Well, thank you very much for watching the video, folks. As you can tell, I'm quite passionate about this one. I will be genuinely sorry to see her go. I've held on to her as long as I can justify it. I do have a few too many cars in my own collection, and sadly this one has got to go, but my loss is your gain. I strongly recommend this car. Having driven it and been around it and heard the comments about it, I doubt I'll be seeing one in this sort of condition anytime soon. I believe it's truly a unique opportunity to buy a wonderful car in excellent condition. Well, thank you, folks. I appreciate you tuning into the Austin A40 video. If you are interested in this car, please get in touch, and we'll be delighted to talk to you about how you can come and have a look at it and how we can make this car yours. Thank you for watching the videos, folks. This is Danny at Bradley James Classics, signing out.